Great, great. So I am happy to see that I'm audible and the screen that I've shared is visible, and the recording also has started. So thank you for your assistance. Now, I'll very briefly going to introduce two of the electives. So what are these electives? How can you choose? Why do we have these electives? All these things I'll try and help. And after that, I'll also give you some say time for questions, queries, doubts if you have. Right? Okay. So now, first thing first, I need to introduce myself and the elective that I'm going to introduce. I'm Dr. Mihir Dave. I'm from Department of Communication Skills, and Department of Communication Skills has designed the electives. So electives are, as the name suggests, you are going to elect either of the electives. So there are two electives that are offered by Department of Communication Skills, namely RWB, which stands for Reading and Writing for Business, and another elective is called SPS, which stands for Speaking and Presentation Skills. Right, so I'll be spending 10, say 15 minutes for each of these two electives, starting with RWB. So what is RWB? What are you going to study in this elective is I'm going to explain. And after I'm going to explain another elective, which is SPS. So listen carefully, go through the details that I'm going to share. And after going through these two electives, if you still have doubts, you are always welcome for understanding and clarifying. So as you can see on the screen, the first elective that we are going to discuss is called Reading and Writing for Business. This elective has 2 credits, and 2 credits stands for there will be 2 of the sessions per week when a regular timetable comes, I think, which has been rolled out from this week. So that's there. So semester 1, this is the elective code, as you can see. Okay, so now I'll be going to give you further details about this elective. So these are the objectives. Objectives means this is what we expect all the students to learn from this elective. So as the slide says, that the course will enable the students to read and interpret formal business writings such as reports, articles, and reviews. Right. So the focus, of course, would be on the writing skills. First to start with reading skills, writing also will come. Second, we'll also try and enable students to know the structures of formal business letters and reports. So these are the first 2 objectives. Next to this, there are other 2 objectives which are focused more on writing part. So for example, students will also be made enabled to write the formal business letters and reports. Of course, the attempt also would be to inculcate, that is to generate or develop a taste for reading and writing habits, say pertaining to the world of business. So these are 4 objectives that this course aims to develop. Right. So these are the 4 objectives. That means what we want students to learn, or what we'll try to develop in students, would be reading skills and writing skills. That's what the title of the syllabus also suggests. Reading and writing skills, especially related to business world and business, say, fraternity. So these are 4 objectives. Then what would be the syllabus like? So as it is to do with the reading part, so there'll be a couple of articles from the business field. We have tried to choose as say advanced say articles as possible. So Tripping Along is an article published in a book called Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish, which is basically an interview of Deep Kalra, the founder and CEO of MakeMyTrip.com. So that's what we are going to study. And second article that we are going to have would be 3 articles, actually, the combination of 3 articles, say general in nature, of course, where are taken from the business world. So out of these 3 articles, first we are going to have an article from Paytm, the Wonder Wallet, which was published in Forbes India magazine in the year 2016. And second, we are also going to have Millennials, How They Live and Work. So that is from Future Group and Gallup, as it is popularly known as. And of course, the say the right culture, not about employees' happiness. So that's also from the Gallup's group. So these are 3 articles we are going to have along with the first article, Tripping Along. So 4 articles to read. And then we'll also try and say read the business letters, sales, inquiry, complaint, right? Adjustment letters, all these letters we'll see, we'll try and understand how are they written. And Of course, later on, we are also going to see how to write business letters. There'll be many letters that we'll be discussing, but two kinds of letters that we are going to practice. And of course, reading, say, a few short business reports. So if you are in a business, you need to do the business, but you also need to document. So while you are documenting, you will be able to read some of the best of the reports written. And of course, you are also be given a kind of a task to write a business report, so which will help you into the corporate sector. So that will be the part of unit number 2. So this is your unit number 1, where it will be more of a reading nature, and unit number 2 would be more of writing in nature. So that's the syllabus part. These are a few of the recommended readings which you can refer. They are available in a library. They're also available online, and you can also refer to these publications for your recommended readings. I'm sure by now you are aware of the fact that in college you will not have textbooks. There'll be reference books, right? So that means the topics that we are going to study and discuss will be available in these reference books, right? There will not be a textbook, which I think used to be there in high schools and the schools, but in college generally you will have reference books. So these are some of your reference books. From there you will be able to study the articles and other things that we are discussing. These are a few more. Excuse me. So these are 5 of the recommended readings you can see. Then the interesting part about these 2 electives are the assessment system. All of you know that if there is any say course, if there is any program, it will ultimately boils down to assessment, popularly known as exams or tests, right? If we teach you letter writing and reading and writing, how are we going to assess? How are you going to take your exam? Is always an interesting thing. So first thing first, first of all, there will not be any written test or semester or end semester or mid semester exam in this elective, which is a good news. But the interesting part of this is that means throughout the session, whatever you will do in the classroom, the activities, the assignment would be the part of your assessment, right? So for example, internal assessment known as IA would consist of 2 of the assignment that will be given to you of 20 marks. Your classroom participation also would be there for 10 marks, right? CSE would be a kind of a term paper that you will have to prepare, and that would consist of 20 marks, so that comes to 50. And then term end presentation also would be there for 25 marks, and Viva also would be conducted for 25 marks. So this is how you can see 100 marks bifurcation is given. And I'm sure you must have noticed that there is no end semester or mid semester exam, which does not consist of 100 marks. So this is the difference between end semester and mid semester exam. End semester exam consists of 100 marks, and mid semester exam consists of 50 marks. So this is the difference between end semester and mid semester exam. I hope I'm audible to all of you now. Okay, I'm sorry for this technical glitch. So we were talking about the assessment. So in the assessment, it is quite possible that, let's say you are a very good student and you could not perform in exam and you suffer, or your result suffers. Or on the other hand, you are not so good student, you are not so regular student, but just before the exam, you got hold of the IMP books, you cram, you memorized it and reproduce in your exam, and you performed better in your examination and your result was slightly better than the regular student. It is also possible. Now, in both these situations, there is injustice. Injustice to a good student, injustice to a not so good student. And of course, in both the situation, there is a big question mark put on the assessment system. So in order to avoid this, what all the good universities and around the world are practicing this, something called CSE. An interesting full form would be continuous semester evaluation. That is, throughout the semester, whatever you do in the session or in the class or in the activities given to you or the tasks and assignments given to you do it nicely and you score well. And you can also see your gradual development. I'll give you an example that, let's say if you are given an assignment in this class and you are not up to the mark, so I'll take the assignment and you'll be told that, it's not up to the mark. You'll resubmit it maybe after a week. So you work it and then you score higher, which is not an available say option in an examination, traditional exam. You appear for an exam. If you don't score well, whatever marks you get, if you fail, you might get a chance. But if you pass with a lesser mark than you deserve or you think you deserve, you don't have a second chance. Those marks will remain with you, right? So these are the limitations that a traditional assessment system has. So in order to avoid those limitations, we have come up with this assessment system where it will be throughout. Now, here you need to be sincere enough and honest enough. If you bypass it, you may get passing marks, but you need to take a call. It's not a school, it's a college. So responsibilities would lie with you. If you pester us, if you keep on asking us, we'll be able to teach you more. If you will not do it, especially in this pandemic where this is online, where I may not be able to know that how many of you are actually there in front of me or maybe in my class. It's possible that you can bypass this learning. Well, that's your choice. I would recommend, I'll not be a gatekeeper. I think most teachers in the college will not be a gatekeeper like your school teachers. Those will ask you, where were you and are you not attending? And all those school kids treatment will not be given. You'll be given freedom. But with freedom comes responsibility, which I'm sure all of you know. So that way, if you participate in these activities, classroom activities, I'm sure it'll be fun. At the same time, you will learn. So that's what this assessment system aims at, that it will be offering you a fair chance to learn and a fair chance to score well, not only in the exam, but also in the skills. So that's what this assessment system would be. I'll take the questions regarding electives and how to choose that part after I'll make you a presentation of another elective, which is SPS. So give me a minute. I'll find the second PPT and I'll present it to you. Okay, I hope the PPT is visible to you. Speaking and presentation skill PPT. I just shared with you. Yes, thank you, Astha. Now, this is there. Okay, so the title, as you can see, suggests about speaking and presentation skills. So that means the weightage will be more towards speaking and presentation, and of course, listening involves in it. So what are the course objectives of speaking and presentation skills? Of course, the course will enable students to share the information on familiar matters and issues, right? So when you are sharing information, you need certain ways in which you do. So that will be one. You will be able to articulate your ideas effectively in terms of speaking in an academic context, right? So academic or business context, professional context. When you are speaking, let's say you are speaking your mind, The way you speak or share your opinion and views with your friends and family will not be the same as you would do it with your colleagues, with your say business say partner, right? It has to be more formal in nature. So that would be there. And of course, course will also try and enable to acquire a degree of proficiency in the use of English in an oral form, that is in the spoken form. So these are the objectives of SPS. This would be the syllabus like. So there in unit 1, you can see more of a speaking in nature. So let's say greetings, let's say introducing yourself and your peers, that is your, let's say, friends and colleagues. How do you introduce somebody formally? And of course, asking and sharing information is also there. So if you're asking for an information, or let's say when you want to express your point of view, how do you do that? Right, so those practicals would be there. It will also help you to discuss the things, so that also would be there. How to face viva, COC, group discussion, and of course, last but not the least, in unit 1 would be facing interview. Right, so it's also like your assessment. Like you are a very good say candidate, but you could not perform well in your interview and you will not get selected. This should not happen, especially when you are a good candidate. If you are not so good candidate, that's fine, you did not get selected. But if you are a good candidate, you must know how to present yourself in the oral situations, the communication situations, where you ask a question and you receive the response, and that way you can develop. So that's what is expected in terms of this. So that will be unit 1, where you could see more of a spoken, say it is more of a expressive in nature, speaking and interpreting, and academic context. So academic is like all these situations are not informal, not the one that you deal with your friends, with your family, which is informal in nature, which is personal also. You can have your own style. But when you talk in terms of academic situation, academic context, or let's say formal situations, there'll be say choice of words and choice of diction would be different. So these are the parts of unit number 1. Now, second unit, as you can see, would be say focused on effective presentation skills. So when you want to make a presentation, please understand, speaking in these situations would be interaction, that is give and take. You will ask a question, or you, let's say, greet somebody, good morning, and then the other person would respond with good morning. And or let's say you are introducing somebody, so which is a limited say number of words you will talk about a person, or you want to ask a question, right? So where is, let's say, this near ATM, or how do I prepare a balance sheet? So it's a question. So after a question, there'll be a pause and there'll be a response. So it's a two-way thing. So that's one. In the unit 2, you are told about making a presentation, right? So let's say you are launching a product, or you are making an introduction to some new, say, event or a place or a service, right? So there you need to present it. There you need to make an effective presentation. So how do you do that is what this entire unit number 2 would be about. So introduction of effective, say, presentation skills, how to make an effective presentation, say preparing and presenting, let's say for presentation. So before you make a presentation, of course, you need to prepare for it. There'll be data, there'll be information that you need to explore related to your topic that you want to make a presentation. So that would be the part of it. It will also help you to use ICT tools, that is the technical tools like what we are using right now, say Google platforms and Zoom and PPTs and projectors, right? So all these are the tools with which you can make a presentation. So that will help you. So this unit 2 would talk about that also. It will also make you ready for making a presentation. So how do you prepare yourself for making a presentation? What should be your body language, right? So when you are making a presentation, actually you're like this online, there are certain body languages that are expected, right? So if I'm making a presentation with the video on and without the video, there'll be a different effect. If I am sitting in such a way, there you can see my torso, so it has certain effect. If I use my hands, it has a certain effect. If I nod my head, it has certain effect. And if I don't do it, it will also have an effect, right? If I'll point finger at you, it will have certain effect. If I'll say thumbs up, it will have certain effect. And it has a meaning, for example. Most of us have bodies. Most of us use our bodies, especially in, say, one-to-one, or even when you are able to see see a person while making presentation, you notice the body. In fact, you notice the body first before you notice the content, isn't it? When you look at a person with spike hairstyle and funky kind of spectacles, you have certain impression in your mind even before the person speaks, right? And there, what we say, first impression. Have you heard that phrase? First impression is, I think you must have heard this. What is first impression? So the first impression is, I know it's very difficult, but I think some of you can know. Tell me. Oh, I could see many of our friends are saying first impression is last impression. Well, I would disagree with you. I'm sorry, but first impression is not last impression. First impression is first impression. That's why it is called first impression, right? Last impression is your last impression, right? But yes, it is very, very important. The first impression that you'll generate would be very important, right? So for example, my first impression to you would be of a teacher who does not know how to handle technology, right? Who is not able to differentiate between first batch and second batch, which is a poor impression that I cast on you, right? Very weak impression I gave, I think. I don't think it is the same impression which is there after 10 minutes or 15 minutes of my session. So yes, first impression is very important when you are a teacher, when you are making a presentation, when you are, let's say, a CEO of a company and you want to make a presentation which is public. First impression is very, very important. But of course, it's not last. In good context also, in not so good context also. For example, you started very well, right? You make first statement, opening remarks, and people give a big round of applause that you're a wonderful speaker. But then you did not know how to start with the third sentence. Your first and second sentences were like spellbound. People were speechless. They started clapping and all. But then third statement onwards, you have started repeating yourself. You are fidgeting. You are not making sense. Then your last impression will definitely not be good. But yes, if you start well, half job is done. Well beginning is half done, as they say. So yes, it's very important. First impression is weak impression. Soham, I'll not agree with that also. But yes, first impression is very important because you are meeting a person for the first time. And the irony with the first impression is you'll get only one chance to do it right. When you meet for the person for the first time and you say, oh, I had a bad impression about that person. I had a poor impression about that person. So you'll got always one chance to do it right or to do it wrong. Right. So body language. So what kind of body language you should keep or what kind of body language you should avoid is what we are going to discuss in this section. We are also going to talk about pronunciation. Right. Of course, needless to say that it will be all about English and in English, but it's not for English. That means we are not going to teach you quote unquote English. We are going to teach you how to make a presentation. And while making a presentation, English would be your medium. English would be the say channel through which you will be passing on, right? So this medium has to be say accurate, and pronunciation is something which is very important. And if you do it wrong, it will create many problems, right? So those pronunciation parts we'll see, right? So that is what we're going to have in this, and of course, question and answer. You know that to make a good presentation is not very difficult. Yeah, you can prepare, you can memorize, you can have some tricks. Once you do that, you make a wonderful presentation and audience asks you one question and you are lost. You don't know how to answer. If this happens, all your first so-called information would be vanished. So best is you should know how to make a presentation. You should also be in position to answer the live question that, okay, you made a presentation about this product, but I have a question. So you should be in a position to answer those say questions. So this is what also we are going to try and inculcate, how to interact or how to say answer the questions and all. And of course, practice is something which we are going to have. It will be recorded so that you can go back. There'll be not one recording but a series of recordings, so you can compare your first recording with your last recording and you could see some development. So those things also will be the part of SPS. And of course, last but not the least, there'll be feedback that we're going to have, which will help you to give, and also the suggestions. So because let's say if you are attending somebody's presentation, who is your colleague, who is your peer, and he is asking for some kind of a feedback. or some kind of suggestion. So how to give suggestions will also be the part of this. So these are two units that would be there for speaking and presentation skills. As you can see, the first unit would be about speaking and interaction in the academic context, in the formal or in the business context. And the second unit would be more or less about making a presentation. So these are two units. There'll be some recommended readings and viewings because it's more about speaking and listening. So there'll be TED Talks that will be recommended, INK Talks, which are very popular in India. So that will be there. Toastmaster videos will also be recommended. I think somebody by mistake, Harsh, does not know that his mic is on. So I'll help him. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we're going to do in the Toastmaster videos. Say courtroom, say dramas we'll also use, and of course videos of good speakers such as Steve Jobs and others. Right. So that will help you to say develop your speaking and listening skills. So these are the things. The assessment system is the same as we had in the reading and writing for business. There will not be any exam, there will not be any mid semester or end semester, but throughout the semester you will be given some assignment. In reading and writing for business, the assignment would be more of a written reading and writing oriented, whereas here it will be more of a speaking and presentation orientation. And of course there'll be term and presentation and viva as you had it in reading and writing for business. Right. So these are the things, assessment things, further discussed like this. Oral assignment would be there. In the reading and writing, it will be written assignment. There will be classroom participation. So whatever and however you participate in the class, there will be 10 marks for that. There are specific rubrics also. What do we mean by participation? Right? It's not only attending the session, but also participating. So those things we'll discuss. So these are the term and presentation and the viva as well. Right? So I believe that I have made my point clear in terms of both the also good. Drishti IAS English. Acha. Okay, Sriram is recommending a video. So thank you, Sriram, for your recommendation. Now, these are the two electives that we have. Now, how do we choose for it? Now, understand right now it is our class, our batch, right? Out of this batch, those who wish to go for RWB will have to choose RWB, and those who think they want to go for SPS, you will have to choose SPS, right? But understand you cannot choose both. You will have to choose either of it, right? I'll be sharing a Google form at the end of today after this orientation, so you can make a choice. In this Google form, you'll have to make a choice of either RWB or SPS. So from the next session, I think next session we'll keep for further orientation doubts and all. But for this week itself, that is before you go for Diwali vacation, you're supposed to make a choice of either of the electives. So post Diwali when we'll meet, we'll have two divisions in this class for this lecture. Half of the students, those who will choose RWB, will go for a separate session, and in the same time or at the same time there will be another session for SPS. So this class will be divided based on your choices into two, that is RWB and SPS. Once it is done, next lecture, which is a regular lecture, you will be again together, right? So that's what you're going to have. BBA honors, no division, I don't know. Okay, this is for the attendance. So now I keep this session open for the questions. Soham is asking, will this course help us to be strong communicator? Yes, both SPS as well as RWB is going to make you a better communicator, a better language user in terms of it. And you might have a doubt that, sir, what if I want to learn reading, writing, listening, and speaking? I want all four. Well, you will get all four in both the electives. Only thing is, in reading and writing for say business, it will be oriented towards reading and writing, and through that you'll be able to say learn how to speak and read and write. Because if you look at the assessment, in the assessment there'll be a term and presentation, right? In RWB also. So though it is reading and writing thing, you are going to make a presentation. That means you are going to speak, right? Or let's say speaking and presentation skills, you are going to speak. You cannot speak if you have not read about a subject, You may speak a sentence or two without reading, but you cannot speak, let's say, 2-3 minutes or say considerable amount of time without reading about your topic, without preparing for that. And for preparation, reading is the first step, right? So whether you choose RWB or SPS, both these electives are going to develop both all four of your skills, which are reading, writing, listening, and speaking, right? So it's not only that you are going to develop your this skill or that skill. In both the cases, your uh, say the promise that we can make is that we will try our best to make you a better communicator. Yes, it's like a half a promise, right? We'll try our best, but it's like a practice. It's like swimming, right? I can give you a wonderful book on swimming. I can also show you that, see the way I am swimming, but until you jump, until you try, you will not learn. So it's a skill. That's why we are calling it a skill, right? It's not a theory that we are going to teach. We are going to teach you skill. Four skills in language: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. You will develop these skills only by doing it. We'll be there to help you, whether it is the right way of speaking or is it a right way of writing, is what we are going to help you. But you need to write or you need to speak so that we can help you. That have you written or spoken correctly or not? Or do you need there are some suggestions or not? So that's there. So this applies to all courses in Marward University, but specifically speaking and presentation and reading and writing, it's purely say participation game. So if you participate, you will make mistakes. If you will make mistakes, we will get a chance to help you to correct those mistakes. So participation would be a key. Whether you participate in RWB or SPS is your choice. But for both these electives, you need to participate. So do that, and I'm sure it will help you. Okay, so Sujata is asking, sir, does writing speed matters in RWB? Speed is a very subjective thing, right? My speed could be, let's say, 200 words per minute. Your speed could be 300 words per minute. That's not much of an importance. The importance is that whatever words I'm reading per minute, am I able to remember that? Am I able to understand that? That's more important, right? So speed is, yes, there, but we would insist more on the quality of reading rather than the quantity. It applies to speaking also. How many words can you speak in a minute? Is that fine? I mean, there are people who are obsessed with speed, but speed is not really important. Important is the way you speak, the content, the quality of the content that you read or the content that you speak is more important. So that's, I hope I have answered Sujata. Okay, I could see Jeet said, sir, can I please say major difference between I think, Jeet, I already told you, there is not much of a difference so far as orientation is concerned. With RWB, the orientation towards language would be reading and writing. So it is through reading and writing that you will be exposed to communication. So far as speaking and presentation skills is concerned, it will be towards speaking and presentation there. But basically, both these electives are going to teach you all four skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking, because we cannot separate them, right? As I said, if you want to speak on a topic for, let's say, even 2 minutes, you cannot speak without reading. Or let's say you want to write about something, you cannot write without reading well. So reading and listening or speaking, reading and writing are inseparable. You can't do that. Same is applicable with the listening. If you are not a good listener, lectures or anything will not make sense to you. So that's why there is not a major difference between these two things. Only difference is the orientation. That is, through which direction you will reach to communication. Will you reach through reading and writing? Then it will be RWB for you. If you want to go from SPS, that is speaking and presentation, you may go from that direction. In both the courses, you'll be given equal opportunities to develop all four of your skills. Right, Jeet? So I hope I have answered Jeet. Yeah. So Akanksha Yadav is asking, will you upload this recording? Yes, Akanksha, I will upload this recording. I think today itself, there is a channel. So from there you can access. In case you want to go back to this recording, it will be available by today evening. Right, Akanksha? Okay, so sir, what includes in SPS? Meet is asking. Meet, I think I did tell you the syllabus. What are the things, component? There will be only 2 units in both. So what would be there in these 2 units? I think I shared with you in the PPTs. Yeah. So that's me. Jeet, I think I have answered Jeet. Manan Dave is asking, sir, what is the main difference between these? I think I did mention the difference that basically it is the orientation. So orientation is through which direction will you try and reach to this a huge umbrella called communication. So if you want to do the communication, you need language. When you talk about language, there'll be 4 skills in a language that you need: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Right? So from whatever direction you will come, you cannot bypass a skill or the other. Right? So that's uh, the thing. Right? Okay, so I could see Taha. Taha is asking, will you spend today's recording, please? Yes, I think I said I'm going to upload this recording on our channel. The our class has a channel, so there it will be uploaded after the session, somewhere by the evening, because I have a couple of sessions in between. So, but before evening, it will be uploaded, right? Soham is saying presentation. I'm not getting your question, Soham. If you could elaborate, it will be easier. I mean, I know all of you like chat, but you can also unmute your mic and you can ask a question so that you can clarify. Okay, I'm already thanked, which is a sign for me to get out. I think I'll get out Niyati, or Nakia Lakdawada is suggesting that. Okay, can we leave? Yes, you can leave. If you don't have any question, you can leave, and I'll also leave. So Sriram is also saying thank you, which is a nice way of saying setup. So I'm done. So in case you have questions, you may stay, or else you are free from my side. Thank you for your participation.